Thanks to the support as a channel member, Igor Freitas. 136 episodes, almost 20 years in game, but having started down in Tier 9, today, Wembley are at Wembley. Hello and welcome to part 136 of Wembley to Wembley. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, it is the EFL Cup final, Wembley versus Newcastle at Wembley. We'll also have a league game, probably, maybe a Champions League game. Who knows? The important thing, the main event is Newcastle at Wembley. Newcastle, by the way, reigning Premier League champions, best team in the league. We're probably going to lose, but we're going to Wembley. It's the closest we've played to where we're actually from in 10 years since we were kicked out. When were we kicked out of our ground? Not kicked out. When did we have to leave Vale Farm? Does it even show on here when that happened? There you go. So 2031, we moved to the Gavin Rose Stadium. So that was 13 years ago. Goodness me. We're back in, never mind we're at Wembley, we're back in Wembley, which is delightful. We've also done some transfers. You'd already seen we'd let Musat and DeSalvo go. Alex Kerslake decided he didn't want to be here anymore, so he's gone to Manchester United on loan. That's Championship Manchester United. Once he's played 15 games, it's a £12.5 million future fee to make him permanent. He's already played 10 games for them. Manchester United look like they might be returning to the Premier League as well and bringing Alex Kerslake with them. We used the money from that deal, because that money already goes into our kitty, just Football Manager things, to bring in the left back that we talked about in the last episode. Joselito Linares is a natural at left back and right back, but as a left footer, he's more likely to play on the left. He's a Brazilian 23-year-old under 23 international, only got 3 stars of current ability. He's never going to be anything better than a squad player for us, but the fact that he can cover on both sides is just always going to be a handy thing. We also signed another defender. Maxim Buriak is a 21-year-old Ukrainian international centre-back, 3 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential, joins from Shakhtar for £7 million. I've basically decided at this point that Fanimo is a midfielder. He's effectively the Kerslake replacement. So Fanimo moves forward permanently in my head to midfield, and Buriak is his replacement as a centre-back. And then on deadline day, we had the opportunity to bring in Rob Williams. Not that one. He's a 22-year-old Welsh international who's come through the Manchester City youth system and then played at various sister clubs in Leicester. Was never going to get the breakthrough at Manchester City. We've got him on loan until the end of the season, and then we complete the deal for £6.5 million in the summer, which probably spells the end for Pep, unless Pep can find himself a spot on the left or up front, because that'll leave us on the right hand side with Williams and Paranos as our 2 wingers. So this is the team for the game against Newcastle. It's Beswick in goal, a back four of Linares, because I'm guessing has come back from the African Cup of Nations shattered, so we've had to send him on holiday. So Linares, Brewers, Agume and Vaughan, Fanimo and Christodoulou in midfield, Renault, Ansong and Williams. So that's Rob Williams with Paul Williams. It's Paul, isn't it? Yeah, Paul Williams up front. It's the Williamses. They're not brothers. It's just a common name. One of them's English, one of them's Welsh. There's no way they could be brothers in those circumstances. It's impossible, obviously. No way 2 brothers could be different. They're not related, I don't think. One came through at Manchester City. I think Paul Williams came through at Manchester United. No, Southampton. Basically the same. They're equivalent-sized clubs these days. It's easy to get them confused. Right, Linares plays it to Renault, and now Fanimo to Ansong. Ansong, ball over the top to Rob Williams, who squares it for Christodoulou, who finds Ansong, who finds the back of the net, and Wembley's first goal at Wembley, Wembley's first goal in Wembley for 13 years is Ansong. Lovely, lovely. It would be so beautiful. I'd almost want to end the series here if we won in our only game at Wembley, but obviously we want to win the league, we want to win the Champions League, we want to move to the new stadium. The last couple of seasons have really accelerated my plans for where I want this series to end up. I don't know if we'll get to that point. We are still very much in a race against time. At this point, the comment is always full of, Kev, you know you can just bring this save over into FM24. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to, because have you seen the daily view levels we get on this one compared to what we get on non-league to legend? I'm obviously starting a new save on the new game. I've got bills to play. The game's already late. I've got bills to pay. I can't be continuing this save on in the new game. So wherever we get to by the end of FM24 is where we get to. So hopefully that gets us to the new stadium and some kind of trophy. As nice as this one will be, a proper trophy. The EFL Cup's like a consolation prize, isn't it? Oh, you couldn't win the FA Cup. Here, have a really inferior cup that nobody really cares about and largely plays their reserves in. All that being said, if we do win this today, we'll love it. We've got an injury. Rano is injured. We're going to bring Pep on the left-hand side. And I mean, it gives him an hour to start trying to push himself into the team on the left-hand side, which we just talked about is his route to, I guess, to staying at the club once we get to the summer. He needs to show me that he's good enough to at least be a rotation option for me on the left-hand side, because he's never going to get in up front or on the right wing now, because all the other players we've brought in are just of a higher level to him, whereas there is an argument that he's potentially a better player than Hermoso and could force him out of the squad. Because of his versatility, it's handy having someone like Pep as the backup who can also cover in two other positions, whereas Hermoso can only play on the left wing. And as he's not the starter, having a specialist as the backup when you've got to do Champions League squad registrations feels like a little bit of a luxury that we don't necessarily have the space in the squad for. So there is the opportunity for Pep there, but he needs to show he can create the way Hermoso can. Hermoso, we've seen come on and make some big impacts on matches over the last season or so since he arrived, and we need Pep to start doing a similar thing. Williams has given the ball away there. That's Paul Williams, who we have given a new contract to. He's playing centre forward and is chased all the way back to distract the Newcastle player there. That's why he's got a new contract. He's one of the highest paid players at the club now, on nearly £80,000 a week. But he's an English 4-star current ability centre forward who's scored a goal a game this year. So I think that's probably worth 80 grand a week. It's what he wanted, and I didn't want to let him go, and I had to talk him out of taking a release clause as well. So I'm happy. He's happy. I'd like him to score a goal, then we'll all be even happier. And there is Williams trying to make us all happy. Bursts into the area, squares it for Ansong. He's hit the post now. He's already scored one. Now he's hit the post. T'other Williams plays it across to Pep, whose looping header goes over the crossbar. It remains 1-0 to Wembley as we enter the final half an hour of the match. We're getting tense now. We've never won a trophy. We would very much like to win one now. This would be delicious. We're making a few changes. Those two will do. And just cross everything, boys and girls. Let us hold on. Let us have our first, and it won't be our first trophy lift. We've won like non-league league titles and stuff. But we've never won a trophy. Our trophy cabinet is almost as empty as Spurs's is at the moment. And that is frankly pathetic. Right, Cottam comes on for Christodoulou. And did Cottam learn to play another position there? Could he always play left midfield? I don't know that he could. We should probably have taught him to play left back when we had no left back. I mean, the problem's been solved now by Linares, who is shattered, but there's no other options. Lambert, let's finish things off. Agume was there. He's hit the crossbar as well. I mean, we've rattled the frame of the goal several times in this match. If Newcastle get back into it now, it's going to be heartbreaking. But we're into the 96th minute. Surely Wembley about to win our first ever trophy. And there you go, boys and girls. It is a Wembley trophy lift at Wembley. It's all we ever wanted. I'm so proud of the boys. Look at them. What a bunch of heroes. Yes, it's only... I'm very upset Tom Best isn't stood with me. He absolutely should be. Tom Best should be part of this. He's been instrumental to us getting to this point. But there is the trophy lift, the big one, the one everybody wanted, the EFL Cup. We love a drop of Carabao around here. Goodness me. The aliens didn't even come. They've rejected us now. Now we're the big boys. No need for aliens. Oh... We've only won a trophy. That means we're the first team in England this year to qualify for Europe as well, which is very nice. Obviously, we don't want to play in the Conference League. I thought you got Europa League for winning that. We obviously want to get back in the Champions League again, but a trophy is a trophy, boys and girls, and we finally have one. That means, I mean, this is a thing. We have a 100% winning record at Wembley Stadium. Let's look at the trophy cabinet. Look, I mean, the Carabao Cup's not even as high reputation as the Championship, but we didn't win that. We've won League One, the National League, the Isthmian League Division 1 South Central, the Southern League Premier South, and that's it. That's our first proper trophy. Previously, our biggest trophy was the League One title. Come on. So a little bit of time has elapsed since the EFL Cup final. We've played a couple more league games. We've played an FA Cup game, which we won. So we're into the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. Means we're one game away from Wembley again, but we do face Man City. So probably not going back to Wembley. We also beat Newcastle in the Premier League as well. We potentially got Newcastle's number here. And we are still down in 5th in the league, well off the top 4. I don't know what's got into Wolves. I don't know where they've been finishing in recent years. Okay, Wolves are actually quite a good team. Goodness me, what has got into them? 5th, 3rd, 11th last year. But they are kind of a good team. They had a tycoon takeover. Although it was in 2026, but they've not had a takeover since. And they've never had the message to say the funding has been scaled back. So at this point, they've had 18 years of tycoon. They are basically the Manchester City of the future. God, look at the amount of money they're spending. My goodness me. And they've not won a Premier League, which is horrific, really, in the circumstances. But the match I've chosen to show you is the second leg of the Champions League round of 16 against Porto. We're 1-0 up from the first leg, going into the second leg at home. Are we at home? No, we're at Stamford Bridge. Because weirdly, the last group game against Borussia Dortmund was at the Gavin Rose Stadium. It seems to be a coin flip whether we play at the Gavin Rose Stadium or at Stamford Bridge in Europe. I don't know why. But if we can beat Porto, we are into, I think, is that the quarterfinal of the Champions League next? I lose track of what is where. But this is the team. It's Beswick in goal, a back four, then Gessen, Brewers, Meulemans and Vaughan, Fanimo and Christodoulou in midfield, Renault, Ansong and Rob Williams behind Balkachemi up front. Let's get the team submitted. Let's get ourselves on a deep Champions League run. Remember, every round we progress in the Champions League at this stage is worth an absolute fortune. 35,000 people have turned up for this. If you remember, in the group stage when we did our first home game here at Stamford Bridge, only 25,000 people turned up. So already looking like our new Wembley Stadium that we move into in just over a year now is potentially going to be too small for us. We're only building a 25,000 capacity stadium, and we've got 35,000 have turned up for a Champions League round of 16 game. This is the reason Balkachemi's in the team, by the way, to say his set piece delivery just so good from that right hand side that it felt like a difference maker for a knockout game. So he's in ahead of Williams, and it is kind of indirectly from one of his corners that we take the lead on the night and puts us 2-0 up on aggregate. It is the corner from Belkacemi. It falls to Renault, who then plays it across to Ungessen, who is forward from left back and just absolutely thwacks it past the goalkeeper at the near post. 1-0 on the night, 2-0 on aggregate. And all of a sudden, we are looking very, very good for that quarter-final Champions League spot. Imagine if we won all the cups this year. Wouldn't that be a thing? Williams with the in-swinger from the other side looking for Fanimo. He can't make proper contact, but it falls to Christodoulou, and it indirectly comes from a corner again. And Charlie Christodoulou, he's now been playing as the Segundo Volante for about a year, and he is loving it. 7 goals this season now, and it just frees him up to do stuff like this that he just never had the opportunity to do before because he was playing so deep and so suspended because he was running around getting himself sent off and booked constantly. But now he's got a little bit of more freedom, do a little bit more attacking. Goodness me, does he seem to be enjoying this role. The entire midfield is built around him like it was always supposed to be when we first signed him. Beswick showing once again why he took over from Slocum in goal as well. Good save from him. And it's now a Porto corner. They're going to look to try and get the breakthrough from the set piece of their own after we've done 2 goals from corners already, but I'm guessing he's under it to clear, and Meulemans trying to get a counter-attack going. We've got a number of red shirts. If he can just get the ball over to the other side of the pitch, there's loads of players over there. He does find Renault, who plays it onto Ansong. He just needs to square it now. Instead, plays it back to Nguessen, and the chance is lost. But that was a good counter-attack led by Meulemans there, who, by the way, his transfer from Derby is now confirmed that it will go through as permanent at the end of the season. It was reliant on us surviving in the Premier League. We have officially actually mathematically survived in the Premier League for this season. So his transfer becomes a permanent one. He does then become our record signing. I think it's a £13 million deal to bring him in permanently, but worth every penny. He's been a key part of the defence all season long. And of course, we've got a deal of our own going in the opposite direction with Kerslake, who will be going to Manchester United for a similar kind of fee. Right, it's another set piece. Balkasemi looking for Fanimo again. That was a much worse corner delivery than we've seen him do all season, but we are still putting the pressure on, and it indirectly again comes from the set piece, and this time it's the corner taker himself, Balkasemi, who fires it in from the edge of the area after some sloppy play, sloppy passing from Porto. It's now 3-0 on the night, 4-0 on aggregate. All three of our goals have come from the second phase of play after a corner that was originally defended, so we're not dominating from the set pieces straight away, but we're set up so well to capitalise on the ball when it's cleared that we are grabbing a lot of goals from that follow-up play from the set piece. And at 4-0 on aggregate, I think it's safe to say we are one of the top 8 teams in Europe. We're in the quarterfinal. What an absurd thing to say about a Wembley side who've never finished higher than 5th in the Premier League, right? Time to make some changes. We've got some tired legs, so we can bring on some fresh legs to replace the tired ones, including new boy Buriak, who I think I introduced you to at the start of the episode. I must have done. It's like 5 hours since I did the start of the episode. Full disclosure, I'm recording this the day the FM25 announcement was made. The release date announcement, which I know was over a week ago at this point, but I had some travel to do again. I went and did some theme parks. I think I mentioned I've done Alton Towers by now. I haven't been yet for me. Legoland, Nottingham Goose Fair. We're basically having a theme park week. So I had to record some videos in advance. So this one I was halfway through when the FM news dropped. I had to drop it like a stone, and I'm now recording the final part at 10 o'clock at night, having done a Lego stream. It's been one of those days. So I don't remember what happened in the first part of the video, other than the fact I think we won the EFL Cup. I hope we won it. I need to go back and check the results, but this is superb stuff. We'll check the draw for the next round as well to see where that's likely to be. The next episode is going to be the next round in the Champions League. Obviously, we do still need to make sure we're not ignoring the league, because we need to make sure we qualify for the Champions League again next season. But you know what? Why not qualify for it by winning it? It would be the most extraordinary Champions League win ever if we could pull it off. But we've done this round of 16 games so comfortably against a team that has won the Champions League in the past. So it's not impossible to dream that maybe we could go on and win the whole thing. It would be more unlikely than that Tour team that won it. Like I say, we're not even good enough to finish in the top 4 in the Premier League yet. But on our night, we're anybody's match, as we've shown again tonight. 4-0 now on the night, 5-0 on aggregate. It was an absolute domination in the end. And now I would very much like the draw for the next round. £8 million for winning that match as well. This is what I mean about the amount of money that flows in for going deep in this competition. I've just noticed how low we were in the red going into that. You can tell we're spending a few more monies on, I was going to say a few more on rent, a few more pennies on salaries than we were previously, because we had like £15 million in the bank last time I checked. We are hemorrhaging money now, it seems. What's our projection looking like? Yikes, we need to go deep in this Champions League. Right, it is the quarterfinal. When is the quarterfinal draw? Are all the round of 16 games settled? They're not. So actually, we're not going to find out the draw in this episode, because I don't think the other matches are played until next week. Oh no, it's tomorrow night. We will, don't worry. We'll do the draw in a second. Right, for some reason, there was a week's gap between the Champions League matches wrapping up and the draw happening, so we had to play the Man City game off camera. Unfortunately, lost 2-0. Especially unfortunate, because the draw opened up and the draw happened before we played our match, and the winner of our match was getting Man United or Birmingham in the semi-final, both of the Championship. They still haven't played that game yet. So it could be Man City, Man United in the semi-final of the FA Cup. But unfortunately, we've been knocked out. But it is now time for the Champions League quarter-final and semi-final draws. So there's no easy draw at this point. We'll just take whatever we can get. Bizarrely, we are the only English team left in it. So best team in England is what I'm interpreting there. And to be fair, it now puts even more pressure on us to do well, because with everyone else capitulating, there's a very good chance that 5th place in England won't be enough to get into the Champions League again for next season. So we're potentially, because the gap between us and 4th place is so big, potentially got ourselves into a situation where the only way we're getting into next season's Champions League is by winning it this year, which seems like a tall order looking at some of those teams that are still in it. Although, to be fair, there are some winnable matches there. Right, Inter will face Real Madrid. That's one of them out the way. That's positive. That's a good thing. Wembley, drawn at home. Give us Benfica, please. Benfica or Leipzig is what we want here. Ideally, Benfica. Wembley will face Milan. How good are Milan? Top of Serie A. That could be problematic. Bayern against Benfica, and then Atletico versus Leipzig. And then I think we get the semi-final draw as well. So let's get that done. It's going to be Inter or Real Madrid versus Wembley or Milan. We're not winning the Champions League, are we? And then Bayern or Benfica versus Atletico or Leipzig. Well, it's going to be tough if we manage to pull it off. But it is going to be Milan, and that will be in the next episode, probably the second leg. So we do still need to focus on the league as well, because with everyone else doing so poorly, we need to catch Wolves, and we've got a game in hand, but we are 8 points behind them. Do we play them? We do. So next episode is going to be the Champions League quarterfinal second leg and Wolves, which is going to be 2 huge matches for the future of Wembley Football Club. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.